if you are a relationships coach, I made this training especially for you, specifically around the biggest challenges that I see people I work with suffer from, which is usually not a lot of time, a lot of mental chatter, and like reasons why it's like awkward to reach out or awkward to talk to people or awkward to actually like get people involved. And also like, how do you actually make enough money to justify taking away time from your family, your friends, from your life in order to really pursue what makes you really passionate, which is helping people in their relationships. Now, the majority of relationship coaches that I work with are helping people around like marriage and kids. Sometimes it's within companies, but it's mostly like, like family relationships and how to make them better. Also like dating life, romantic life, etc. Just very quickly, a quick thing about me and why I'm talking about this. I actually had this crazy dichotomy in my mind. I worked in nonprofit from the very beginning of my career. I had the dream job where I was helping people have more meaningful lives, connect more to their spirituality, all the things. But because I didn't know how to like actually monetize what I was doing, I found myself having less and less and less month at the end of my money at the end of my month. Meaning like I just watched my family like sink more and more into debt. And frankly, it was really awful. And I only thought the only way I'd actually be able to like feed my family, 4 kids, right, was like, I have to go get a real job. The problem with a real job is I really loved helping people. And so it was like at one point or another, I would have to give up of myself. Now, I always wanted to have an abundance in my life. I just didn't know how to do it. And so after investing a lot of money in learning how to do this and, going broke a few times and crying myself to sleep, and again, I'm laughing about it, but it was like actually really traumatic. I learned how to actually monetize my expertise. Thank God I was able to build a very successful practice. And then where I really got excited was it's like, hey, there's a lot of people out there. Again, I can't help everybody, but if I can help the helpers, then everyone could really like get the help that they need and also live profitably. And that's like where I'm telling you, like there is nothing that fills me more is like hearing people that are out there helping, actually making enough money so that they can support their family abundantly and really just focus on serving the clients. Because I think if you go into helping work, it's not because you want to get rich, it's because you want to help people or because you got help and you want to pay that forward. And the idea of like sitting and helping someone through their process really lights you up. Now, there's a couple of, this is obviously a huge topic. I don't want to go for a very long time, so I'll just kind of give you highlights. And then if this feels like something that resonates with you, please reach out and I'll be happy to talk through with you in more specifics about what would work for your main case. Now, some of the challenges that I found for people when they jump into like building a coaching business is like, well, how much money do I actually want to generate? Now, again, probably the person that gave you a certification or not a certification or the coach you learned from, they're probably making tons of money. You have no idea, whatever it is. And you're like, how do I do this? Now, what I found is, and again, this is not your fault at all. I've spent over a decade in the industry and I know this really well. Most coaches teach how to help, not how to actually bring the people on board that you can help and actually give you money. And so again, if you're doing this as a passion, awesome. But if you actually have to earn, not awesome. And really what you have to focus on, again, granted 100%, you do have to learn how to help people. And that's actually not the hardest skill in the world. That's actually fairly simple. And also you probably have a lot of experience yourself in your own right, in your own life, right? The hardest part is actually building a lucrative business. Because if you build that lucrative business, well, wow, that's crazy. Suddenly, like imagine what you could do. Let's say you're making 10, 20, 30, I've got clients making $50,000, $60,000 per month, right? If you're doing that, what becomes possible? Now, a lot of you probably are thinking, oh my gosh, I don't need that kind of money. It's like, you're right. You probably don't need that kind of money. How many people need that kind of money? The reality is though, imagine what you could do with that money. Forget about how vacations you might be able to take your family on, savings you might be able to do for your retirement, support you might be able to give kids or parents or whoever it might be. Charitable projects, all these things are like super important and really valuable, but also imagine being able to hire people in your company, right? To help other people and actually have growth. Things you don't like to do, hire someone for that. I can't look at spreadsheets. Like I'll be the first one to say it. Like I have people that are able to do that so that I know how to run the business and it's fun and I'm doing the stuff that I love. So anyway, idea would be number one, most people don't actually have a vision for how much money they actually need to get or actually want to have, right? The second thing that I find a lot of people really struggle with is time. Because the mass majority of people that I speak to are busy. They've got jobs, they've got families, they've got other responsibilities. And it's like, oh my gosh, how do I make money in the limited time that I have? How do I be the most effective? Also, Again, hopefully, you never know, but like the social media posting game, like, is not fun, and you're probably not very good at it, and you don't know what to say, and it's like really uncomfortable, and like, what's wrong with me? You're not doing it. So you need to figure out, how do I make the amount of money I want to make, serve the clients I want to be able to serve, in a way that allows me to do it within the frameworks, the tight time frameworks I have, and not doing things that I'm not very good at, and also don't usually drive the drive the needle so much. Because let's be honest, like, unless you have a really, really big following, and or you're really good at what you do in terms of like how to actually like get people to follow you and make stuff go viral, it doesn't work. And the great news is, like, I was making almost more money in a month than I did an entire year as a rabbi, and I had no website, I had no social media, and to this day, the mass majority of my business does not come from social media at all. So what I can tell you is, you're in a great place if you don't love social media. Again, if you love social media, it makes you happy. If you love writing books, it makes you happy. Do all the things. That being said, what I found is there's a lot more efficient ways to actually build your business. So what are those efficient ways? So number one, as I mentioned, you got to get clear. How much money do I actually want to generate? How much time do I actually have to spend on this project? What are the things that, who do I actually want to help? What are my ideal clients, right? Who are the people that I'd love to help, right? Now, where are those people? That's an important question. How do you know? Like, where do you find the kinds of people? That's a great question. So that's one of the main things that I talk to my clients about, is like, how do we help you actually find the kinds of people? I joke about this a lot, but I had a gentleman I met, and he wanted to do executive coaching, and he actually lived in a trailer park. And I said, well, how many executives do you know? And he said, I don't know any executives. I said, well, how many? I said, like, well, why? He's like, well, they have money. I said, you know what? Truth is, people who don't run companies also have money. I said, what do you help with? And he said, well, I help people with emotional regulation. I said, great. Do you know anyone who needs help like that? He's like, oh my gosh, so many people, right? And so he actually built his business, and he had been stuck for years because he was trying to aim for like this like mythical ideal client in the sky, when in reality, like, we're normal people, and most normal people need help. So a question of like, who are my ideal clients and where are they? That's a huge thing that needs to be figured out. Also, and this is the biggest thing, and I'll just call a spade because I've worked with tons of relationship coaches. Usually the hardest things are the following. It's super awkward to talk to people about their relationships. So how do you even have that conversation, right? Oh my gosh, like, how's your marriage going at this fruit store? You're like, what? Like, that feels so awkward. So what's an authentic way that I can begin conversations that will allow me to actually see if this person needs help? That's super crucial. That's one of the main things I help people with, because like, you need to know that, right? Second thing I find that's very hard is we have this thing called an imposter syndrome, which is that in a lot of times we don't feel capable or the right fit to help people in the situation. It's like, maybe I have problems in my own marriage, and how can I help you if I have problems? Or, well, I'm not the biggest expert in the world, or my favorite, I'm not a therapist. I don't have big licensing, whatever it might be. So how do you work through those internal roadblocks that allow you to move to a place of just serving other people without worrying about why you are or are not the right person to do it? Because one of the things we found is, and I've been doing this for over a decade, and thank God I've helped, over hundreds of people at this point, and made, thank God, like a good amount of money for me, is that it's not about being the best. It's about being the right one, the person who's there for you at that moment. And oftentimes you'll find this, it's like, you just need to be the good enough coach in order to allow the person to open up and get the support they need. Because ultimately the hardest part is being able to open up and to reach out for support. And then on the coach's side, like, I'd venture to say most of you watching these videos can actually mostly help the mass majority of clients you'd want to work with. And if there's people that are like extreme cases, like, those are probably people you don't want to work with, actually. And it's better to let a person with a lot more experience, or PhDs and MBAs and NYPDs behind their name, actually work with those kinds of people. So anyway, those are the things I'd really focus on, is like, what's your ideal outcome? How much money do you want to make? How much time do you actually need? Now, the cool thing is, for most people, if it's like, I want to work 10 hours a week and I want to make $10,000 a month, you just need 10 people to give you $1,000. That's not crazy, right? Now, again, if you're like, that's crazy, I've never charged that much, right? It's like, great, so talk to me and I can help you with that. But the idea would basically be figuring out your dream situation. How much money do you want to make? How much time you want to work? Who are your ideal clients? Where are those clients? And then we've got to learn, what do I say to them in order for them to know you can help and be willing to invest in working with you. And if you can do that, your relationship coaching business will fly. If this was at all helpful, please reach out to me. I tried, actually, after I said you don't need social media, I try to be fairly all over social media. My website is Disruption, DISRUPP. That's my name, TION.com. jacob@therupgroup.com, or whoever got you this message, or however you're seeing this message, just reach out and I will respond. Wishing you tremendous luck. And I want to tell you that what you do is really important. And you want to be able to make enough money that you can stay doing what you're doing. Because despite what everyone says with AI and all this stuff, people are people, and people always will need help, and people always want to optimize. And there's no such thing as the perfect marriage. So even people with great marriages or great relationships will always want more help. Thank you.